Hi, I'm Arthur, and this is part 11 in a 20-part series I am doing on Second Founding, or as close as I can get to Second Founding, chapters of Space Marines, in Order of the Legions. Do you need to have seen the other parts prior to this one to understand this one? No, but it would make me happy. So, for those not in the know, there is no 11th Legion, so making a video about a successor of them, even though I already made an attempt, is a bit difficult. So, what I'm doing is I'm putting in a bit of a filler chapter in here that doesn't really have a founding and doesn't really have a legion ascribed to it. I did the same with the Grey Knights, so today's fun topic is going to be the Deathwatch, if you couldn't read the title of the video, which is also known as the faction people play when they start playing 40k if they didn't want to play Salamanders. Not to shit on people, but I find when people get into 40k, they either pick Ultramarines, Salamanders, or Deathwatch if they're going to be playing Space Marines in general. This is specifically if they're going in blind without knowing much of the lore. The Deathwatch are a very non-committal chapter of Space Marines to play as. You want to play Imperial Fists one day and then Black Templars the next? Fuck it, do both. Before we get too lost in the memes, let's ask the question, who exactly are the Deathwatch? Well, they were a chapter formed out of necessity. Prior to the War of the Beast, I do believe, where orcs decided it was time to start stirring shit up, alien species around the universe were kind of a laughable threat that most Space Marines could deal with quite easily before dinner and walk away with only a few scratches. Orcs died in the quintillions, but with the orcs deciding to stir shit up a bit more, Necrons waking up and wanting the rest of the universe off their fucking property, and Tyranids being the fucking Tyranids, the need for specialized alien hunters was kind of a big deal, like with the Grey Knights, where they were founded out of necessity to combat demonic incursions. The Deathwatch were made to fuck up aliens something fierce. So they weren't exactly a chapter founded from a specific gene seed. They were actually a small contingent of Marines that, by decree of the Imperium, requires any loyalist chapter to donate a veteran once in a while to the Deathwatch for a little bit, just to get their expertise on the matter of how to break open a specific alien's head. Now, you might think, having so many different clashing ideals, identities, and personalities might breed animosity, and you'd be right. But weaponized racism in the face of the overwhelming possibility of extinction by being fucked to death by giant bugs is kind of a universally acceptable reason to overlook one's differences. Unless you're a space wolf and a dark angel. Because I guess at some point some hatreds transcend the fear of bugs, mushrooms, and old people for that matter. But yes, the Deathwatch is made up entirely of veteran Space Marines of other Space Marine chapters. These veterans are often chosen for their specific skills to deal with a specific species of Xenos or aliens. So, say you need to deal with a group of Tyranids, then you send in a small 10-man kill team of Mortifactors, Scythes of the Emperor, Tyrannic War veterans from the Ultramarines, and maybe a few Blood Angel successors as a MAME. They all have fought the Tyranids before and have a degree of specialization that makes it an easy fight for them to understand, in reasonable amounts. You need to fight orcs? Just fucking pick an Imperial Fist successor chapter and go to fucking town. Dealing with Eldar? Fuck me, the Carcerdons seem to have that shit on lock. Hell, you could probably convince a few Night Lords to break from being heretical to just kill a few members of the Elfway. But you get my point. Each member of the Deathwatch is prized for their skills, be them a librarian, dreadnought, tech marine. They all have a purpose to serve in the Watch. There is a lot to love about these Marines, so I'm going to break down a few key points as to why a lot of people love them so much, so you can understand the appeal of them a little bit more. For one, each member of the Deathwatch is from a different chapter, so they all look radically different in silhouette, but they all wear the black armor with the silver shoulder pad and arm. and the other shoulder pad contains the heraldry of the chapter they hail from. But no one discusses the Black Shields. Black Shields are kind of a carryover name from the Horus Heresy that I might cover some other day, but it specifically in the Deathwatch has a very different meaning. Basically, a Black Shield in the Watch is a permanent resident of the Deathwatch, someone who gives up their prior chapter for whatever reason, be it atonement or shame, but this being a Black Shield is seen as being one of the lowest actions a Space Marine can take, so they have to forsake all honor and all heraldry to become a member of the Deathwatch permanently. Usually it's someone who did not mesh well with the chapter or due to changes that overtook the chapter's way of life. You see them slowly wish to leave, which ends with them getting a carved off black shoulder pad instead of a chapter insignia. It's a cute little detail of them having to bear a literal mark of shame for leaving their chapter. There is even a shoulder pad to represent this in the Deathwatch Veterans Kit, which is neat. Another fun fact about the Deathwatch is that they can use a lot of illegal weaponry, from some abominable combination of machinery that is the mixture of a heavy bolter and a heavy fucking flamer, to the humble frag cannon, to everybody having an artificer bolt gun, all the way to them having this neat little combat knife that does not look standard with the Space Marine kit, but who am I to judge where they get their weapons from as long as they can kill aliens with it? So, yeah, you might see some alien-adjacent technology show up in the Watch from time to time, and spears that look like they have been taken from other areas of the Imperium to be retrofitted onto higher-ranking officials of the Watch, but who cares? It's an army of all elites who show up and do whatever the fuck they want. What's the Inquisition gonna do? Stop them? It's really fucking cool, and I think they are neat for it. They are the chamber militant to the Ordo Xenos branch of the Inquisition, and because of that, they do have a lot of power to do what needs to be done. So say Tyranids are beginning to snowball a bit and gobble up the planets of an entire sector relatively quickly, well, why not just exterminatus every planet in a massive radius so they inevitably starve to death along the way to find some other planet? Or starve them enough just so that they're weakened and a kill team or two can go in and take up the Norn Queen. Having an issue with orcs overtaking an entire planet? Lure some gene stealers to the said planet, have them infest it, and then maybe you could see an entire fleet of Tyranids show up and deal with the orc problem, and then deal with the Tyranids. I mean, I've never heard of orcs versus Tyranids backfiring ever, so just fucking give her, dude. They have wide ranges of differing and rare ammunition types to deal with whatever threat may emerge, so even though they are Xenos hunters, they can pretty much deal with any threat that isn't demonic in nature, as even though they do have a bunch of librarians and whatnot, they do have a tendency to not stock up on anti-psychic shit unless they're dealing with Eldar of some variety. Mostly just Dark Eldar, because them's fuckers throw out weird psychic warp entities like their goddamn Pokemon from time to time. But in general, if you are made of meat, bone, and blood, or maybe just one of those, there's a good chance they can kill you relatively easily, and if not, just throw a fucking vortex grenade at it and see what happens. It works most of the time. So, do you like the idea of being strapped with a bandolier of grenades, special ammunition, and enough fucking magic alien techno hoo-ha that you end up looking like Arnold Schwarzenegger from Commando in a suit of power armor? Do you like playing an entire elite army of Space Marine? Do you like having weird bullshit weaponry? Then maybe look into the Deathwatch. They are really fun, and you can play them in a bunch of ways. The Corvus Black Star jets look cool as shit too, by the way. Let me know in the comments what you think of the Deathwatch. I genuinely want to know, as per the usual. I love a lot of the characters I read about when I was researching them. I got attached to a few of the ones in the comic runs that they had before, because yes, the Deathwatch had a comic book series, and it was kind of fucking good. I'd recommend looking it up if you get a chance. Alongside that, remember to like and subscribe, as it really helps out the channel. Thanks to my channel members for supporting me in these dark times, and if you want to see my content early, or see exclusive content, or just support me, then become a channel member today. Thanks again for watching, and till next time.